Hi, everybody. Welcome into this week's show here on JTV, brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency, 269-200-2905, myinsuranccircle.com. I'm David Rice. That is Adam with his winter cap on today.
Hey, I had to...
I'm not judging.
I
like
celebrate.
it.
Thank you. I had to celebrate the 2 golden goals that we had for the U.S. hockey, so... Had to make sure to represent.
Cue the Freebird.
That's right. Yeah, I had to.
Because I was wondering why, if there was any special occasion why you had it.
Yeah,
on
I
today.
had to do it for the golden goals.
I obviously didn't put 2 and 2 together.
When that goal was scored for the U.S., when Hughes scored that goal, a gold eagle leaped out of my chest. It was phenomenal.
It might have looked like he had a heart attack, but he didn't.
But
He's
no,
okay.
It was the gold eagle leaping out of my chest, and it was amazing.
We will get to that later on in the show. Plus, we'll have the final medal count for you.
Yeah, I'm curious where everybody ended up because I did not see the final count. So I didn't even know the closing ceremonies happened. So
it happened like right after the hockey game.
Oh, did it? I watched hockey, and then that was it. The second that was over,
there was the 2-man bobsled after that, and that was it.
That was how they ended it. They're like, man, the main event is this 2-man bobsled. 2
dudes sharing a bobsled together.
Right.
That's how they ended the Olympics.
Right.
All right, enough of that. We'll get to that. High school boys basketball. Both boys and girls had a lot happen last week. So real quick here, because we do have a special guest as well in a few minutes. Just to fill you in on what happened last week. High school boys basketball. Jackson earned a share of the SEC White Conference title on Tuesday, beating Ypsilanti Community. Shout out to the Vikings again, Coach Phil Thompson. Heck of a job, year 1 for him. I think they're definitely the favorite in their district, although it will be tough with them and Northwest both being up in Division 1 this year. But be excited to see how Coach Thompson and his team fares in the postseason. On Thursday last week, Springport clinched their first Big 8 conference title in over 30 years with a win on Thursday over Reading. And in their rival Concord, both Jet Smith and Connor Stevens for the Yellow Jackets reached 1,000 career points in a win over Union City by 6 points on Tuesday. In the Cascades, Napoleon head coach Derek Seidel reached 100 career wins on Tuesday with a non-conference win at home over Morenci. And the 2026 Cascades Conference, all conference players were named, and we had co-players of the year. It's very rare that we get co-player award. This year we had a co-player for the boys and the girls. So, really good talent on both sides to leave any names out, really. So, the boys co-players of the year, Caleb Blond from Jonesville, Grant Johnson of Manchester. Congratulations to both of them. And even though it's still February, March Madness for the show unofficially begins this week for us.
Unofficially. Got to wait till actual March.
I guess it is official. It's just before it actually hits March on the calendar. But,
there you go.
Well, we've got the boys' playoffs this week.
Yeah.
Boys' regional finals and girls' districts next week with the big girls' district final next Friday.
Yep.
Then the week after that, it'll be the start of Big Ten tournament, plus the girls' regionals, and after that will still be happening. I'll be back in the closet in Florida doing the show.
You're going back to the closet?
Yes.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Anyways, don't mind him.
What are you talking about?
So we've got a really good month coming up. And then after I return from Florida, we'll still have hopefully a couple of girls teams still playing. And then we'll have March Madness and we'll fill out our brackets.
Yes, which I'm excited for.
Yeah. Based on how Michigan played late against Duke on Saturday, I was going to just pencil in Michigan all the way down, circle them in, and win it all.
I think you can still do that. I wouldn't be too concerned.
Really, the way they played against Duke, it was close.
It was close.
But couldn't rebound, didn't do anything late in the game against Duke.
Yeah.
So, Oh, I almost flipped over. We're not done
We're
yet.
not done.
But the postseason begins this week for boys. Quite a few good matchups I'm excited for. Northwest Okemos tonight, Monday night. I'll be interested to see the run Northwest could make or could not make. We'll see. If we get a Jackson Northwest District final on Friday, that's going to be an exciting game at Mason. So we will talk in a few minutes. Our friend Doug Donnelly will be back on the show. Columbia Central, Michigan Center, if they both take care of business. Columbia Central, Adrian District semifinal on Wednesday, just to name a few. And then, of course, Lumen Christi, the heavy favorite in their district, and Napoleon. So we have the full list of all the area district matchups online for the boys and now the girls at JTV.tv. And then speaking of high school girls basketball, this past weekend on Saturday, Grass Lake beat Columbia Central 52-42 in the Cascades Conference Championship at Spring Arbor University. Columbia had the lead most of the first half, but it went back and forth. Much different than their first meeting earlier this season. Grass Lake became a second-half team in that game, retaking the lead in the fourth quarter, pulling away to win by 10, 52-42. Reese Lape, 16 points and 10 rebounds for Grass Lake, and the Warriors have now won the conference title either outright or a share for the 8th year in a row. And here's head coach April Saltz of the Warriors after the game.
Absolutely. Columbia Central is a really, really good team, and everybody, as the season goes on, everybody just gets better, right? So you got to go in, be where your feet are, and when you get to a championship game like this and it's on a big stage at Spring Arbor, it's a different kind of feel. You have seniors on the court. They have a few seniors that, for Columbia Central, Coley Brown and Slate, they kind of held the team together and kept them going. But then we made adjustments for the fourth quarter, and it was huge. Our girls just will do whatever it takes. Whatever you ask them to do, they're going to go do it. When stuff doesn't go their way, they're going to find and just be that perseverance team that just finds what it takes. Honestly, at halftime, I went in there and talked to them. I said, our best basketball is when we rebound and we use the whole team. And I said, when we go back out there, you got to rebound the ball because that's our best. That's our best basketball. We get the deflections, rebound, and just keep moving and use the whole team that we have and lean on each other. Yes, absolutely. So it's been 8 years. It's been phenomenal with sharing and with not. This is our 8th year. It's the culture. We have a great community. We have great families. We have great parents. We have great players. We have great administration. We have a great K through 12 program. It's the culture. We've had a daddy-daughter dance earlier. Kids left it to come watch basketball. It's the culture. Everybody is bought in. If you live in Grass Lake, you go to Grass Lake, everybody's bought in. No matter what sport, everybody's just one. It helps us by when stuff doesn't go our way of what to figure out what we need to do as a team and as one. We play Western on Tuesday. It's going to be a tough one. We added Wayne Memorial to our schedule. We'll play them on Saturday at 1 o'clock. You just got to go play bigger. You got to just play those non-tough non-conference games. And we're going to be where our feet are. We get the district stuff tomorrow, and we'll know what we need to do. And we'll start with there. But we're just going to go back and we're going to enjoy this moment. But then we're going to get back to work and just keep working.
So we have photos from that game in video highlights. Almost didn't have video highlights from that game. I won't share any more details.
Well, I'll have to talk with you afterwards. I'm curious. I saw the text, but it didn't go into detail. So,
yeah, it was in a scramble when I sent that.
Uh-oh.
So I was not very happy on Saturday.
Well, you got him, though.
I did.
Yeah.
But it could have went horribly wrong.
Oh, yeah. I think I have an idea of what happened, but we'll talk.
And then Reese Lape of Grass Lake and May Reeseview from Michigan Center were named the Girls Co-Players of the Year for the Cascades Conference. Later this week, we'll have the full list of all the conference honorees on our website, jtv.tv. We have all the boys players named. And then on Tuesday last week, Rhea Hitt from Parma Western became Western High School's all-time leading scorer, breaking a record that was held for 35 years. And she will be playing at Grand Valley State University next year. And Reese Lape from Grass Lake committed to play at Grand Valley as well, so she'll have her senior year next year. And then those two will be teammates at Grand Valley in 2 years. So 1,610 career points and still running for Rhea Hitt. Congratulations to her. So Western will have a tough district final with Michigan Center, and then a tough regional with Ann Arbor, Gabriel, Richard, and Chelsea. So that'll be a good matchup at Harper Creek in Division II. Of course, we've been talking about Lumen Christi Grass Lake. So we have those full list of girls matchups as well online at JTV.tv. So these next 4 to 5 weeks are going to be really good. March Madness before March is what I'm calling it this week.
That works. It's like Christmas in July.
Which shouldn't be a thing, by the way. Christmas in July is
just
stupid.
Be like a marketing thing, right? That has to be what that
Totally.
is.
It's some companies for just a money grab.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the same thing, but just better.
Yeah, there you go.
Our friend, sports writer and editor Doug Donnelly will be on the show today. We have a lot to discuss. We have a lot of boys districts talk, a lot of girls districts, and then a couple of conference moves. Northwest joining the SEC White, and then 2 in the Cascades to the Big A. We'll discuss all of that. And then after that, we'll have a high school hockey update. Both Jackson United and Lumen Christi are still alive heading into this week. So we have both of our high school hockey teams in it as well. And then Jack Hughes, a new American hero, the golden goal.
Yes, sir.
On Sunday morning.
Yeah. I mean, him and Hellebuck, we'll talk about that, but I mean, they both just played so well.
And it felt good to beat the Canadians.
It felt very good. Very good.
And then Michigan basketball lost to Duke. Although it is spring training and I am not freaking out, the Yankees dropped 20 runs on the Tigers.
It's spring training. Who cares? Most of our guys that were playing are going to be in single A anyways, so,
Single A.
Yeah, who cares?
What is single A for the Tigers? Is it Jackson College?
No, it's I think it's Erie.
Sorry.
I think it's Erie, Pennsylvania. Or no, it's the Whitecaps. I think they're single A.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whitecaps. I always think it's the Lugnuts, but they're another team.
Yeah, it's they're I think
which that doesn't make
worse
any
than
sense
single A.
geographically.
But I think it's Erie next. Used to be the Seawolves. I forgot what John Oliver renamed them, but they used to be the Seawolves.
Was it offensive?
No. He did a contest to see he was going to change a minor league team's name, and everybody put in their bids for that, and he picked Erie to get their name changed. I forgot what it is now, but it's funny. And then after Erie, it's Toledo, and then the big time.
So I'm not freaking out. I just had to put that on there to see your reaction.
Yeah, you just wanted to do that to me. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Although that was on Saturday, that was the free game of the day on the MLB app because I have not paid $150 for MLB.TV yet.
I think I could be wrong.
And you aren't either. We're waiting to see what the Tigers individual
I could be
is,
wrong, but I think they are. I think all the spring training games are going to be free. I'm pretty certain. I read that somewhere. So
I don't think so because they're only still doing one free game of the day.
Oh, really?
On MLB app, MLB.TV.
Well, I don't know how they expect.
And then they
Tigers
still have
fans to
some
do
on
this.
MLB Network too.
Yeah, I just don't know how they expect when they haven't come out with a plan for Tigers fans yet, and then
This close because opening day is March 20 something.
Yeah, we're like a month and a half
literally
out.
a month away.
Yeah, so I hope they do something soon.
I know they also want to try to do something with a local TV distributor.
Yeah.
I know back in the early 2000s, Pistons games, not all of them I don't think, but a lot of them used to be on Local 4. Why doesn't Local 4, they already do a lot with state champs in the high school, so why doesn't Local 4, even if it's on Local 4 Plus, I know people would complain about
It would
it
have to
being
be on
Plus.
something not streaming. I think that's the whole idea of this is to get it on actual
Right.
television.
But anyways,
broadcast
why don't
television.
they partner with Local 4 or
I hope they-
ABC7?
I hope they partner with somebody just to get it on air because a lot of people that watch the Tigers every day
Channel
don't have
50
streaming.
even.
So.
I know Channel 50 is not statewide.
Yeah,
but
it used to be, but they just need somebody to step up. Hopefully they can do it, and that's maybe why they're not doing this right now, not doing the streaming. Don't have the plan out because they're trying to figure that out. But hopefully they get something going soon.
Well, if FanDuel actually just wasn't such a terrible thing, we wouldn't be in this
Yeah, ever since
situation.
Well, I think from Bally on, it was bad. It was bad
True.
decisions.
Yeah. Can we just go back to the old Fox Sports theme music?
Yeah, I would
and
be
just
down
leave it
for
at
it.
that?
I'd be down for it.
Still with Jason and Andy, which, by the way, Jason Benetti, there's no official report out, but I think he's going to be the Sunday Night Baseball voice for NBC.
That'd be
Jason
cool.
Benetti. And I saw a report this weekend, NBC is going to use, for most of their Sunday night games, and then their Peacock early game, whatever, they're going to be using mostly local announcers.
Oh, that's a
So
good
we
idea.
could see Jason Benetti and Andy Dirks on NBC
Yeah.
Sunday Night Baseball with
That'd
the
be
Tigers.
cool.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
something?
that'd be sick.
All right, enough about spring training. We're still a month away from the season. Plus, we'll have a medal count from the Olympics, too, and the new college basketball rankings. So Doug Donnelly will join the show on JTV when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Happy to welcome back to the show longtime sports writer, editor, Blissfield Advance, Daily Telegram, and Lenaway. Of course, also talked about Overtime Plus with him in football season as well. Doug Donnelly back with us on JTV.
Hi.
Yeah, good to have you back with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how's all the travels and whereabouts for you? How's that been so far this basketball season?
Basketball season's been great. You mentioned Overtime Plus, and I had a couple preliminary calls last week starting the magazine for this year already. So that never slows down, but it's basketball time. So it's one of my favorite times of the year. District week, you can catch double headers everywhere, lots of great matchups to look forward to. So it's a great time of the year.
Lots of there's some really good girls non-conference matchups this week too. Tuesday, Thursday, right in between this boys' week. I know I'm gonna miss a few of them. It's off the top of my head. I know Grass Lake Parma Western is Tuesday night at Grass Lake. That's gonna be really good. Grass Lake just coming off the Cascades Championship, which we'll get to here. And then Grass Lake, they just added Division I Wayne Memorial to their schedule on Saturday. They're Division I 16-2. That's at Grass Lake. I was surprised they added that game, but a lot of great games Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like you said, and then girls games as well. So we'll get to some of the girls districts here in a little bit, but just with the boys, I know you cover a lot more area than JTV does, but just off the top of your head, a couple of the top districts or some of the potential district final matchups for the boys that you're looking forward to later this week.
Yeah, well, I would start off with talking about Onstead. They've been Division II for several years now. When the Davis boys played Austin and Aden, they had some great teams year after year, and they were always Division II. And they won a couple districts, and they got into some regional championship games. But it was always such a tough road, especially with as deep when they got in the playoffs, and they'd run into teams like Williamston and stuff like that in Division II. This year they're down to Division III, and so I really like to see how they're going to perform there. They got a great team. They're 20-2. It's a team. There's no superstars. There's just a lot of outstanding players, and Brad Maska has them playing defense really well. They play good as a unit. They're in Division III, and that I think is going to be really interesting to see if they can make some noise moving down to Division III this year.
Yeah, and I didn't know until recently. I guess I just obviously didn't pay attention to it, but Onstead being down in Division III until the brackets came out, and I'm looking at Division II. I'm like, okay, could we see Onstead against like a Columbia Central or somebody? And then I'm looking, I'm like, oh, well, they're in D3. Now, I think that's going to be some really good matchups because it's either the regional final or quarterfinal if they take care of business. But you could see Lumen Christi against Onstead, either regional final or quarterfinal, and two really good coaches and two really good teams. So I'd be interested to see that game.
Yeah, I believe that would be the regional final matchup. I was just looking at that looking ahead a little bit. Onstead, if they got through their district would play I believe the Erie Mason district, which Whiteford is heavily favored there. They're 19-3. The next closest team in that district is 11-11. So that does include the defending state champion Riverview Gaber Richard, but I believe they're 2-16 right now going into the districts this year. New coach, a whole new set of players, lost everybody from last year. And Whiteford's an intriguing team. Again, they're kind of like Onstead. They don't have a lot of superstars. They've stepped up in some big games. They beat a good Lenawee Christian team on the road. They've beaten Madison, which has knocked off Onstead earlier this season. So, Whiteford's kind of a sleeper right now. They haven't been like on top of the league or anything for a while, but this year they're playing pretty well. And I believe that Onstead, Whiteford could be, if Onstead wins and Whiteford wins, that would be a regional semifinal matchup. And I can't remember now. You're right about if the Lumen Christi district flows into that one, or if there's a game in between there. But the Lumen Christi district is going to be a solid one as well. So there's a lot of good matchups. You're right. Especially Division III is one of those divisions that you kind of go into it year after year with. There's a lot of schools from around here that can compete at that level. So you always look to see somebody from this area to make a run.
Yeah, and with the last year, our regionals for Lumen Christi, they were in Ithaca, which isn't too bad of a drive from Jackson. I know from you it'd be a really long drive, but from Jackson, it's not too far. This year, the regionals are in New Lothrop. So when we saw that, I was like, I'm not looking forward to driving 2 hours to Flint, North Flint, on a Tuesday and then Thursday night with all the girls districts in between. But you mentioned Division III, Onstead, Lumen Christi. Lumen Christi Springport, I think, is that regional final game, and then Lumen or Onstead against Whiteford quarterfinal. And Springport's having a really good year, too. Their first Big 8 conference title in 35 years, I believe it was, and they beat Concord both times this year. Concord, who made the regional final against a really good Lenawee Christian team last year. So Springport, they're back on the map. Really, football, too. I know we talked about how good of a football season they had. Good basketball season. Springport on the come up, so I'm glad to see another team in our area get in the mix. And then another team I wanted to get your thoughts on too, Jackson. First-year head coach Phil Thompson. Vikings playing really well this season. Tough loss against Country Day last week by only a couple points, but if you're Jackson, that's a good non-conference game for you heading into the postseason because them and Jackson Northwest both being Division I is a step up for both of those schools this year.
Yeah, they had some early games. I think they beat Adrian real early in the season, and Adrian kind of started off like 4-0, 5-0. Got a really good basketball player in Jackson Francis, and Jackson handled them pretty easily. Then they came back a couple nights later, and they handled Tecumseh. So this area kind of had probably seen enough of Jackson. They're definitely a good team this year.
Let's shift over to the girls districts. That starts next week, so kind of an early look ahead. But as far as the Jackson area teams, everybody's been talking about the district final matchup that will be Lumen Christi, Grass Lake at Napoleon. First off, they've in the past moved a couple of these huge matchups to a Spring Arbor or a Jackson College or something like that, just because there's going to be so many people. I don't see why they don't do the same thing for this game. I mean, out of the whole state in Division III, Lumen and Grass Lake is 1A and 1B. and to have the two best teams in the entire state be in a district final, first off, that's criminal to have that happen. And then second, why not move it to a Spring Arbor, someplace like that? But, I mean, that's going to be the biggest game in the state of Michigan, and I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, Grass Lake, and by the way, Hanover Horton is in that district. Although, I don't, Joe Lusk has the Comets playing very well, and they've had a great season. But I don't, you're right. I don't think they're going to compete with Lumen Christi or Grass Lake. But Grass Lake has done everything you've asked of them this year, and they've had a great season. I worry a little bit about the schedule. They've had a lot of games where they've won by 40, 50, 60 points. And playing, I think you said they're playing Wayne on Saturday. That's probably a really good matchup for them, at least to go into a game where you have maybe some back and forth, and you have some, a matchup down the end of the game where you're playing for something, to give the girls a little bit of a taste of that kind of atmosphere going into the district week, because it's not going to be easy against Lumen Christi. And I think Scott Stein at Lumen Christi this year, there may not be 5 coaches better than him in the entire state. He's one of the best coaches around. He's coached an Arbor Prep team last year that on paper had no business making it even to the state championship game, and ended up winning the state championship. And he's at Lumen Christi and has got an outstanding player. So, that's just a tremendous matchup. You're right. I do hope I have a feeling that Napoleon's probably not going to want to give up that game, but that should be a heck of a matchup, especially for a district game.
Right, and I know they won't want to give up that game, but and that's part of why we're able to do that game live. We'll have that game live on JTV. We haven't really promoted it too much. We have a couple times on this show, but that was our case too. Listen, normally we're not allowed to do these playoff games live, but Napoleon is way too small a gym for this matchup. Even in Grass Lake's gym, the whole place was sold out. So I can only imagine how tight it's going to be at Napoleon. And I know they won't want to give it up, just for the ticket sales, et cetera, et cetera. But I would think when Kari Willis and our Noah Baker told me this a while ago, that when Kari Willis played on the boys team at Lumen Christi, there was such a big regional semi game. They moved it to Spring Arbor, and it even sold out there. So I would think for the two best teams, just my thought, but I know Napoleon won't want to give it up. And then a couple other girls' teams, Concord in Division 4, I don't want to say they came out of nowhere last year, but going into last season, nobody, at least that I know, not a lot of people were like, oh, for sure, Concord's going to make this run to the Breslin Center. They did, and they have a really good team, almost the entire same group back this year. So I'm interested to see how far they make it, because eventually they're going to have to play Morenci, who they lost to by over 30 in the first game this year.
I think both teams have improved a lot probably since that game. Morenci just plays outstanding defense, and that's just their calling card. They're not a tremendous offensive team. They do have a 1,000-point scorer in Emerson Bachelder, and a really good point guard. And she's the coach's daughter, Evelyn. But I just think that Concord is probably a different team than they were that first week of the season. And Concord has 2,000-point scorers. So a lot of teams, especially, Division 4, a team might have one really great player, and the other team coming in, that known for defense like Morenci is, they put their top defender on that person and kind of lock them down. But Concord has 2 of those girls. So I don't know, I don't know if they have 2 people they're going to lock down completely. So that'll be a great matchup for Morenci. I've actually been, I've had Morenci number 1 all season in my polls that I've been responding to. And Concord has been anywhere from 2 to 4, 2 to 5 throughout the whole season. So that's definitely a great matchup looking down the road.
And then Columbia Central, I know that's going to be a really good district final, as long as they beat Onstead on that Wednesday game. that district final with Blissfield at Onsted's going to be really good. And then the winner of that is going to have to take on the Lumen Christi Grass Lake winner. So not completely counting them out, but pretty much whoever wins that Lumen Christi Grass Lake game is going to be the favorite, I would imagine, the rest of the run, because they're going to have, even if Grass Lake wins, they've already beat Columbia Central twice. They just beat them at Spring Arbor on Saturday. That was a great game, by the way, because the first time they met in the regular season, it was over a 30-point game. It was not close whatsoever. And then much different Columbia team. They were hanging with Grass Lake right up until about at some point in the fourth quarter, and Grass Lake adjusted and did what they needed to do. But Columbia Central Blissfield is another game that I have for the girls' playoffs circled on my calendar.
Yeah, Columbia Central actually beat Blissfield early this season. The only other team to beat Blissfield was Tecumseh. Blissfield's a good, they're a solid top 10 team in Division III. Them and Columbia Central, I think, is probably a toss-up when it comes down to it. Blissfield has some, kind of a spread-out kind of team, 4 or 5 girls that have 2 or 3 years of starting experience. Their head coach, Ryan Gilbert, won his 300th game last week. So he's one of the winningest coaches around, really, in girls basketball. So they're not going to be an easy out for anybody. But yeah, you're right. Lumen Christi, Grass Lake, whoever wins that game will be the favorite going into that matchup for sure.
And then another thing I want to touch on here before we let you go. So a couple weeks ago, even though it's kind of been out for a while, most people didn't really, at least that I saw, reported on it until recently, but Northwest leaving the I-8 conference. They're going to be joining the SEC White, and then Stockbridge Hillsdale taking the place of Homer and East Jackson in the Cascades. And then Homer, only 2 years in the Cascades, and now they're back to the Big 8, and then East Jackson, the Big 8. So just wanted to get your thoughts on those changes, especially that's going to be really good, I think. Football especially, to be interesting, Northwest to the SEC.
Yeah, the SEC White especially kind of needed someone to fill a spot there. They were in talks with the Kensington Lakes Athletic Association, or as an Activities Association, I believe, when the Livonia schools left the KLAA to go to a different conference. Then the SEC and the KLAA started talking, and they were kind of getting close. I thought there was going to be some sort of merger there where the two leagues would come together and form kind of like almost like the old mega conference, I guess. But it fell short by like 2 votes. So then the SEC went looking for somebody else to add, and Northwest was that team. So I think it's a good fit. They play a lot of teams in the area anyhow, so I think that's good. Homer, the Cascades expanded a couple of years back and went. I think they jumped from 8 to 12 kind of overnight, and they have all the 2 divisions and everything. I think I kind of worry about down the road. Like, it seems like the Cascades is kind of splitting between the big schools and small schools right now. I'm not sure how that's going to go in the future. There might be some more movement there. I wouldn't doubt if there's some more movement. But Hillsdale kind of definitely fits with the Cascades footprint, and they didn't maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but they do now. And I just think East Jackson was just looking for, when they're going up against Michigan Center and schools like that every a couple nights a week, it's hard for them to compete. And football drives almost all these decisions when it comes down to it. I mean, the other sports, they're important, obviously. Girls basketball, boys basketball, volleyball, those all are important pieces of any conference play. But football kind of drives all of that. So I think the Hillsdale coming to the Cascades is a football move, if anything else. And they're leaving the LCAA, which is going to leave them down to 7 schools. So I don't think we're done seeing some movement when it comes to these conferences around here.
I like the point that you brought up about with the Cascades, the bigger schools and those smaller schools starting to really separate themselves more. And I think a perfect example that we've talked about on the show before, I think it was 2 years ago, Grass Lake football went 6-3 And remember, they didn't get in the playoffs because they didn't have enough points. Because even though they're Division 6 and they had 6-3, or they might have had 7 wins, but they were playing against a homer in East Jackson, Vandercook Lake. Columbia at the time was smaller than Grass Lake. So you saw that. Michigan Center only having one home playoff game this year in football because they're Division 5, playing against a lot of these smaller schools. And I think eventually, hot take, I'm putting this out there for first time, but the bigger schools like Michigan Center, Grass Lake, Columbia, I think they eventually need to leave the Cascades. I know most of these moves, like you said, are football driven, but even when you look at other schools, like you just mentioned, East Jackson, they played, I know they had to reschedule because of weather, but girls basketball, Michigan Center had to play both their games against East Jackson twice last week. Both games, Michigan Center beat them by 50 plus almost 60, and that's happened with quite a few other schools. So I think eventually those 2 or 3, maybe some other ones, need to leave the conference eventually. Where they go, I don't know, because there's not very many other options. So I think that's why, to me, they haven't really made those moves yet.
Yeah, and I think and maybe they could stay if the Cascades could just maybe make that division a big division, small division that might appease some of the bigger schools. But again, they're Michigan Center, they're Division 5. I mean, you talk about a difference. I mean, that last year in the playoffs, they were playing Monroe Jefferson out in Monroe, and they hadn't, big school like that, and they're playing on a week-to-week basis. They might play in East Jackson or in Addison or, somebody a homer, somebody a really small school. It's such a big difference, and yeah, something is going to have to happen soon, I think, with those big schools, because they're going to have to go 7-2, 8-1 some years maybe to make the playoffs, and because of the point system, and that's not ideal for them.
Well, I've been saying since they moved it to the point system, I think it always should have stayed at 6 wins. Because, 6 of those wins at least for a school like Michigan Center, especially in football, are guaranteed. Because especially being in the East, you have East Jackson, Grass Lake. They struggled this year, but that's basically my point. Though, is 5 or 6 of those wins are guaranteed. So you're for sure going to be at least 6-3, which is 2-3 games above 500, and you're still not even, let's say, in 1 year close to a playoff spot. And it's not their fault for playing their conference schedule, so why punish them? So the way I look at it. And then I think going back to, why did Lumen Christi join the Catholic League and playing all the bigger Detroit schools? Because they were a lot better in most sports compared to a Penfield, Harper Creek, on and on and on. So I think eventually, and I've heard that before with a few other people, small school division, big school division. To me, I think, sure, that could work, but also half of their schedule, they're still going to be playing those smaller schools anyways. So I just don't know where else a Michigan Center and Grass Lake would go, right? Because the LCAA, that's not an option for them. The SEC is already big enough, and I don't think Michigan Center and Grass Lake want to play a conference schedule, in my opinion, of Adrian and any of those schools. So I just don't know where else an option would be for them.
I haven't heard much discussion lately about the LCAA once Hillsdale announced they were leaving. There was some talk early on. Some schools over Monroe County might have been interested in leaving the conferences they're in and to join the LCA, but I think that's now off the table. Maybe the LCA, Michigan Center doesn't seem. The the LCA has Dundee, Division 5 school in football, Ida, a big Division 6 school in football. I mean, they have some pretty decent. Madison's now, Division 2 in basketball. I believe they're Division 6 last year in football. I mean, the LCA probably could take on a Michigan Center and a Grass Lake, but that's a little bit more travel than maybe some of the schools want to go. But there is some size advantages to a school like Michigan Center and Grass Lake joining the LCA if that was ever under this discussion.
And then real quick here before we let you go, a couple of pieces I know that you've done for MHSA.com this year. I wanted to mention one. Joe Lusk, you mentioned Hanover girls a few minutes ago. He got his, I think, 200th career win this year. And I was reading the story you did on him, and I had no clue that at first he didn't even want to coach a long time ago when he first started. And then look at where he is now.
Yeah, he made that has made that clear a couple times in his life. I think that he wasn't. His daughter kind of talked him into it early on when he was an outstanding athlete himself at Michigan Center, and then he had a daughter in school, and she came home one day. I think she was in 3rd grade and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm on a basketball team, and you're going to coach me." And he's like, "Oh no, I'm not." And his wife and daughter kind of talked him into it, and now he's still coaching to this day. And when Hanover Horton had their opening for the girls basketball job, it was actually, he told me it was his wife and daughter who put together his resume and sent it in. They told him they were going to do it, but they're the ones that kind of put it together and actually sent it into Hanover Horton before he got the interview and got the job. So they're a great family. His wife, keeps the scorebook for every game. She's right there all along the way. His daughter, I think she's an executive at one of the hospitals in the area, or maybe she's just moving to a different hospital, maybe the Metro Detroit area. But she's been along for the ride as a player for him, and then as assistant coach and a JV coach this year as well. So really good guy, good family, and hats off to him for getting 200 career wins. And he won a lot of games as an assistant coach under Scott Furman as well. There's probably 150 more wins there as an assistant coach.
Yeah, and then Columbia Central, I know they just tough loss for the girls against Grass Lake in the Cascades Championship, but you also did a story on the boys winning the Cascades just 2 Saturdays ago. I was at that game. Great game against Michigan Center. And I think, Columbia will play Adrian this week on Wednesday, so that's going to be a really good game. But if they were to win that, see a Columbia Central Michigan Center rematch in the district final at Tecumseh. But Columbia, first time they won the Cascades for the boys since 1983, I believe, because they didn't even win a conference title in the LCA. And I know for Coach Crawford and that school, that was something that was on their mind for a long time.
Yeah, they were super excited about that. And, I keep up some records for the LCA. So I read somewhere, I think on social media, it said Columbia Central's first Cascades title. I think it said, when I first read it, it said first Cascades title in 50 years. And I was thinking, well, they were not in the Cascades for a long time. So of course they hadn't won the league. But I went and looked, and they didn't win an LCA title either. So it was legitimately the first, not just Cascades title, but league title since 1983. So, hats off to Coach Crawford and what he's done with that program. They're really strong, and that's Adrian Tough is going to be a tough matchup for them. But Michigan Center, Columbia Central, that would be another one of those ideal matchups for JTV.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well. Appreciate you joining the show. As always, I'm sure at some point in the postseason we'll cross paths and be at the same game at some point. So appreciate all the info you share with me and the everything we have with you and JTV. So appreciate the time today. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
Doug Donnelly here on JTV. Appreciate him as always. We'll be right back. Welcome back on JTV. That was an extended commercial break.
I was wondering, I was like, are you going to mention this?
We just had an extended commercial break.
Yeah, we did. You want to say why?
Because of your horrible take.
No.
Had nothing to do with the show.
No.
I'm not going to say who it was. I saw a Facebook post, a couple of the words I can't say on here, but they said firing Mike Tomlin and hiring Mike McCarthy is like pooping your pants,
Okay.
but changing your shirt.
And I laughed and I agreed with that.
And then that's when I said, and this is where the whole thing started, that Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning coach.
Okay, that's not where you ended it, because I said
No, there was more after that.
Yeah,
We don't have time to get to all that.
I know we don't. Just 2 seconds, though. I'll just say my defense, and then that's it. All I'm saying is the great players are the thing that got him there. Just like what we discussed just before we came back. Jim Caldwell took a 15-1 Colts team to the Super Bowl. But I wouldn't necessarily say it was his coaching that led them there. It was the players that they had. That's
coaching also makes the biggest difference, because look at these last few years. Look at these last few years with Green Bay. 2020, Aaron Rodgers, best year of his career. In 2021, those back-to-back MVP years at his older age to do that with the other players. But Matt LaFleur is the head coach, and that's why we haven't won a Super Bowl since 2010 with Mike McCarthy. It's because Matt LaFleur has been the head coach, and we've had terrible special teams, which, by the way, Rich Bisaccia, I've said special teams are the issue. He actually quit over the weekend. So we're going to have a new special teams coach. Hallelujah.
There you go.
But still, Matt LaFleur is why we haven't been, but we've had good players. So.
All I'll say is McCarthy sucks. That's all I'll say. We'll get into it.
And that's why we had an extended commercial break that had nothing to do with today's show.
It was awesome.
Anyways, back to high school hockey.
Yes. Save
our
us.
last segment here. So Jackson United and Lumen Christi are both still alive heading into this week. Lumen Christi, they won 1-0 last week on Thursday against Grand Rapids Catholic Central. The one goal was 3 or 4 minutes into the game in the first period, and they held on and won 1-0. Their regional final is this weekend, Wednesday, against East Grand Rapids, and that's going to be at Patterson Ice Arena again. And then Jackson United going back to the Wings Event Center in Kalamazoo. They're going to be taking on DeWitt. Actually, it's Capital City, but DeWitt's host school, Cap City regional final on Wednesday night. So congrats to both JU and Lumen on their runs so far this year. When they won on Thursday, 1-0 or Wednesday, whatever it was, there was some controversy in that game. I watched the NFHS stream. The announcer was they actually had an announcer on that game. The announcer was actually pretty good. He's done Grand Rapids Catholic games the whole year. But, of course, always the NFHS stream itself, the camera is terrible. But even on that camera quality, you could see Grand Rapids Catholic Central scored a goal in the second period that would have tied it up at 1. Even on that camera, you could see it go in. But they waved it off and said no goal because the ref didn't see it.
Ugh,
He said it doesn't count, I didn't see it.
that sucks.
Go back to the NFHS stream and watch that. You didn't even see on there it was a goal. They celebrated. It was a late change, too. They had already celebrated and all that hoopla, and then they said, no, I didn't see it.
Oh,
Are you serious?
man.
And then, of course, the game ended up being 1-0. So I just had to mention that out there. Mm-hmm. Although I had put that in our scoreboard, and some people on Facebook were not happy that I put that in there.
What, that's what happened?
Yeah,
Oh,
even though
that's
but that's what happened. So, anyways, congrats to Lumen and JU, both having great seasons. They're both still playing, and if Lumen wins against East Grand Rapids on Wednesday, their quarterfinal game is here at Optimus Saturday.
Cool. That's cool.
So we might have to go over to Optimus Saturday and watch the quarterfinal if they win.
Yeah.
5 o'clock Saturday.
Yep.
Mark your calendar now.
Get me my lift. That's my spot.
No, we're not going.
Oh, darn
we're
it.
not watching in a lift.
Oh, come on. That's my spot. Best seat in the house.
But an even better hockey game, the Golden Goal. Jack Hughes.
Yes.
U.S. over Canada, 2-1. The exact day, 46 years later, from the Miracle on Ice, 1980.
Yeah, and people forget that wasn't a gold medal game.
That wasn't even the gold medal game.
That was the semifinals because they had to face Finland after that, and they came from behind in that game as well. So, talk about Jack Hughes, which I don't know if you know, Jack Hughes, born, I think, I forgot where he was born, but he was born somewhere else, moved to Michigan when he was younger, went to Ionia Catholic Secondary School. How about that? Now he's an American hero.
Oh, is somebody on Twitter now going to say that the U.S. is recruiting just like he says for high school?
Yeah, probably. But Connor Hellebuck, also the goaltender for U.S., stopped like 42 of 43 shots or something like that in the game. He had a tremendous game. And that was just awesome to see in general, to see the U.S. win. I mean, that was a fantastic game, and it just felt so good knowing that we finally took down Canada after all these years. So, especially revenge after that Sidney Crosby golden goal that we had to go through last time. So,
and
the U.S. women won as well.
Yeah, well, and Canada won the Four Nations face-off too.
Yeah, I know. So it's just like we got enough of those, and it seems like it's always coming down to the golden goal, final shot. But we finally won, and now these players can get back to where they got to go, and we can resume the NHL season.
I love the touch that they added for their teammate too.
Yeah, that was cool. That was
with
really
his
cool.
jersey.
Brought his
and then,
kids out onto the ice and took the photo with them. I thought that was really cool.
Yep. There were quite a few men's and the women's hockey players from Michigan.
Yeah. And there was a lot of, they constantly showed the stands, a lot of greats there. Mike Ruzioni, who was on that 80 Olympic team, he was there. He was the captain, so it was cool to see him there and a bunch of other people. So I think Brady sat there and watched the game, Tom Brady. So it was cool. But yeah, I mean,
was his 25-year-old girlfriend with him too?
Is that who? Man, he's just trying to be like Bill Belichick. I get it, man. I get it.
Do you know who that is?
No.
It's Alex Earl, I think. I don't know. Everybody has a podcast now. We have a podcast.
Well, yeah.
But no, she has her own podcast.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways,
can't tell you how much I don't care about that whole sequence.
I don't either. Okay. But people keep posting about it.
Oh.
Like the world cares, so we have to see it. You go through your feed.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and Alex Earl spotted on a yacht.
God, worry about your own damn business.
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. Medal count, the final medal count.
Yes, I'm curious where it shook out.
First place, total medals, Norway.
Oh, the Norwegians.
41, 18 gold.
That makes sense.
In second, the United States.
Hey,
33, 12 gold.
Hey, not bad.
And the host Italians with 30 in third.
Hey, look at Italy.
10 gold.
I feel like the host city always does pretty well.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just because they're the hosts, it's the extra, whatever.
I think maybe just like home field advantage mixed with like you can be more comfortable because you're home. You're not worried about traveling and all that stuff. Maybe
home bobsled advantage.
Hey, yeah, you got that home bobsled advantage. I love it.
It was funny. We were talking too during the extended commercial break about how I didn't even notice Russia wasn't there, and they're always usually solid.
Yeah,
but they weren't there. But I think from the dope thing.
I think it's a little bit of that, but I think it's mainly the Ukraine war and everything going on in there that they weren't allowed. So the players were allowed to show up, but they had to be like an independent body. They couldn't represent the country.
They weren't allowed to wear Russia colors or their flag.
And they wouldn't be considered in that final medal count, which I don't even know if any of them got a medal, but yeah.
I was looking at the medal count because I was writing it down to share these top three, and I didn't see any Russia like individual athletes on there either.
Which I mean, who knows? They could have been down way at the bottom or something if they only got a couple.
I even went down the bottom, even like Kazakhstan and Czechia got medals.
You were looking for North Korea, you know?
No, they did not get any.
They did
either.
not. Not a single athlete participated.
Even though they hosted their own own
they had their own
games.
like Winter Olympics, which
North Korean Winter Games.
Yep.
I wonder what sports are in that.
I don't know, but I'm starting to think we should have sent you on a press tour to go to North Korea for that, so we had some coverage for the show. I think we should do that next time. We should send you there. I feel like you'd get on well in Pyongyang.
No, because they tell people what you're allowed to record and not to record, and
they'd
you
want
can't
to
show
record
these
this.
people's faces and that. But no, the cities are so bad there. Have you seen the Vice News documentary from years ago about it?
Classic
It
documentary.
is, and Dennis Rodman, that's when he went to, which
yeah.
totally ran it. Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman hanging out together in North Korea. But no, they build these stadiums and buildings when they know they have press from outside the country coming. Those stadiums that you saw in those nice buildings and fancy dinners and stuff in that documentary, none of that is there whatsoever.
Yeah, so you must have watched the original one with the guy that used to be the head of Vice.
Yeah,
There
Shane, I think.
Yeah. When he went there and he realized like he's the only one in
We're
this.
going way.
I know. He's the only one in this restaurant that they had.
Yeah,
and he realized
he was
that,
the
like,
only one there, and then he was
made
the only
this-
one in that grocery store they had.
Yeah, like they literally made all that stuff for me is kind of what he was saying, which is crazy, but it's true.
But that's what they do, and it's sad.
Yeah.
And then they walk into that basketball arena,
Yeah.
and it was scripted to where as soon as their leader comes in, all 20,000 of them stand up and applaud and yell for like an hour straight.
And don't you dare be the first one to stop applauding. That's the way they look at it. Is like don't be the first one to stop.
Exactly.
Because
It's
you're
all
probably
in
not gonna
harmony.
make it home. Yeah, crazy. I can't believe we went onto a North Korean tangent, but we did.
Well, we were talking about how they don't have any Olympic medals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, watch that Vice documentary. It's very good if you haven't seen it.
It is.
Yeah.
I just lost. We were just talking about Mike McCarthy,
No.
North Korea.
Hey.
Oh no, Michigan basketball. I don't want to talk. They lost to Duke by 5.
They did.
They couldn't close out late. The Boozer twins, really good, obviously, from Duke. Both games Saturday in college basketball, all-timer. Arizona, Houston. Arizona beating Houston at their place, and then Michigan losing to Duke. So the new rankings this week, Duke 1, Arizona 2, Michigan 3, Iowa State 4, and Houston 5. Is it fair to say this year the Big 12 is the best men's basketball conference? Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston. 3 teams in the top 5. For the Big 12, it never happens.
Yeah.
And Kansas was still good before they got blown out by unranked Cincinnati. But still, those 3, Texas Tech, Kansas. So, yeah, the Big 10's still good. Michigan State's at 13. Michigan, Illinois, Purdue. But sure, originally it was going to be those 4 that played each other on Saturday for the Final Four. But I think it's wide open for March. So when we fill out our brackets, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it.
So, Tiger spring training was underway over the weekend. Aaron Judge was right back to being Aaron Judge.
Oh, man, he looked nasty.
And the Yankees dropped 20 runs on the Tigers.
Yep. Like I said, spring training, who cares? It's too early.
And I think that's about it. NHL is back on Thursday.
Yep, they'll be back. Oh, talking about spring training, March the 5th will be the start of the World Baseball Classic. So it's back to nations battling it out, but we get baseball. So pool play starts the 5th, and then the quarterfinals will start on the 13th, which I love having it during spring training because it's high-level baseball that we get to see before the season starts, and it's a nice wrap-up of the spring training because they come back and they'll have like another like week or something like that, a couple weeks max, and then it's going into the start of the regular season. So I'm excited.
I'm trying to find the World Baseball Classic. It's going to be Miami. There's 4 host cities.
Yeah, I know Miami and Texas are doing the quarterfinals.
Miami, Houston, Tokyo, and San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I think San Juan in the Tokyo Dome will be for just the pool play.
Miami and Houston are hosting quarterfinals, but they're also both hosting pool play too.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, I was just trying to find the team. Do we know the Team USA roster yet?
I think it's been released. I haven't looked at it too much. I know Judge is on that team. I would assume Mike Trout, if he's healthy, he'll be on that team.
Here we go. Just to name a few. Aaron Judge is the captain. Bryce Harper, Bobby Witt Jr., and then the 2 pitchers, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens.
Oh, that is so nasty. That's so nasty.
Their potential batting lineup.
No, yeah, I got to
First, Kyle Schwarber, Bobby Witt, Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Alex Bregman, first baseman, TBD, this says, Corbin Carroll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great.
Byron Buxton, and Bryce Turing.
That's nasty. That is a nasty
lineup. And then
lineup.
Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal.
Got a couple
on
of
the mound.
young guys in there, too. I like that team, man. I mean, if you're going to beat Japan, we
Matthew
have to beat
Boyd.
Japan. Boyd in the rotation.
Yeah. So it'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And then Japan, it doesn't.
Otani's going to play.
I have to imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, they got
Yamamoto.
Yeah, and they got a
Sasaki.
lot of, and we're not even including all the guys right now that are killing it in Japan right now that are just playing at this extremely high level. So, I think it will be as competitive as the last one is. It's going to probably come down to the U.S. and Japan again. So, I will be watching, and I will be reporting it back to you once it starts, because that'll be pretty much the only thing I'll be watching when that's on.
Other than the college basketball starting to come
That's
together.
true, yeah, because it is in March. So it's like those will be the 2 things that will
Red
have
Wings.
have my attention. Red Wings probably going to have to take a seat back when both of those are going on, because those are more pressing.
Yep. And then we've got all of our high school playoffs, too, that will be out and about.
That's right.
Covering. So, coming up next week on the show, we'll have our our first week of March Madness month.
Yes.
Here on the show. So, we'll have all the highlights and recaps and interviews from the boys district round happening this week. Girls start next week. So we'll have an update on both. And we'll get closer by 1 week to the Big Ten tournament beginning. So buckle in, because next week and the next 3 to 4 weeks after that, going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
So it's going to be jam-packed shows.
Jam-packed.
Lots of interviews. We're going to have lots of highlights.
Yep.
It's lots of everything. And we might have both of our high school hockey teams still in it by the time we see you next Monday.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe next week we'll talk about Mike McCarthy again.
Well, your take was terrible on it, so I had to bring it up.
I cannot wait to send this to people for them to agree with my take. I can't wait.
Coaching makes a big difference.
Yeah,
we had the good players in 2020 and 2021, but Matt LaFleur was the coach, and that's why we haven't made a Super Bowl since Mike McCarthy in 2010.
Mike McCarthy sucks.
I'm going to die on this hill.
Well, we're going to bring it back up then.
We have other fish to fry next week. So, thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency, and no more on that. I'm David Rice. That's Adam. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.